I received an email from my buddy Jason. He was putting together a fatbike bikepacking trip named the Desert Ramble in honor of his birthday. We would loosely follow the Kokopelli Trail from Fruta to Moab and back. We would be living off of our bikes for 7 full days. Without hesitation or knowing what I was getting into, I said yes. My main concerns for this adventure were carrying water for 2 days and food for three, and having enough clothes for temperatures ranging from 30 to 65 degrees. As the week approached, I also found out the forecast promised rain. I ride a small bear grease that doesn't have much room for a frame bag, so I had to get creative to bring enough water. I knew I could live for a week with minimal clothing, but the food and water had me concerned. Plus, I wanted to bring a larger digital SLR. To make this happen, I would strap 10 Revelate Designs bags to my bike and carry a backpack for the digital SLR. Taking some knowledge from Joe Miser, I packed in a methodical way that would make my life easier, especially when setting up camp. When I stopped to set up camp, the temperature would be dropping quick. I didn't want to search for anything and I wanted to stay warm. I packed so I could set up camp as follows. I pulled out the dry bag from the handlebar harness. My beanie and jacket came out first. I put them on to trap in warmth before setting up my tent. Next, I pulled out my tent and sleeping pad. Once the tent was up, I threw in the sleeping pad, my sleeping bag from the seat bag, and the dry bag with camp clothes from the right fork. I would get in the tent, set up my pad and bag, and change my clothes. I found the vestibule on my tent was roomy enough to keep all my gear dry in the rainy night, but my riding clothes would air out in the tent to keep any critters off of them. The contrail tarp tent worked great. It packed small, is light, and gave me a lot of room to air out my gear on the first rainy night. It has to be staked and set up correctly or water will get in, so hard ground or rock is a concern, but all in all it worked great on this trip. I brought enough water by attaching a 2-liter bottle to the down tube with a salsa anything cage. I also had a 100-ounce bladder in the frame bag along with some tools and 50 ounces of water in water bottles in the feed bags. This gave me a total of 218 ounces of water, which was enough but was very heavy. I had plenty of food, filling the gas tanks with on-the-bike food and a small camera, and I used the seat bag for my stove and dry foods for dinner. I also had more food and personal hygiene supplies stashed away in the front pocket. A few extras I had were a solar charger to recharge the Garmin and phone at night, and some hot hands I threw in at the last minute. Those hot hands kept my feet toasty on cold nights, and I was glad to have them. The front forks also had anything cages with dry bags for all of my clothing. I kept my warmer riding clothes and rain jacket on the left fork and camp clothes on the right. I used everything I brought and stayed comfortable the whole trip. See below for a full list of all my supplies.